friends and welcome to Obsidian Soft. Today I will show you how to make a multiple choice quiz game in Scratch. We will be using just lists and variables and there will be no need to make multiple costumes or backgrounds for each question. So let's have a look at the demo. Yes, you can see that we are using variables to display everything on the backdrop. And the buttons are sprites. So let's begin. So start a new project in Scratch and then first we will remove the cat and go to choose a sprite, but then choose the paint option. Rename the sprite to message and click on text to write game over. So basically this will be our main sprite, which is actually a message sprite, and we will write the code for setting up the quiz in it too. And this will also be used for showing any message to the user, as the name implies. So I'm going to make it different color, maybe blue. Okay, and I'm going to rename the costume to game over. Okay, and right click, duplicate, change the text to correct. So this will be shown when the answer is correct to a quiz question, and I'm going to make it green. And rename the costume to correct. Okay, and again right click, duplicate, rename the costume to wrong, and then change the text accordingly. And the color is red. Okay, so now go to the code section and we will be making some lists and variables, and then we'll be assembling the code here. Okay, you must be already familiar with variables, as we need variables for storing and updating information such as the score of a game. Okay, a list is a collection of the same type of data. Imagine a row of boxes labeled 1, 2, 3, etc. Each box holds one item in this row of boxes. A list is just like this row of boxes. Each item in this list can be accessed using a number that is a position of that item in the list. In programming languages, this position is called the index. So a question list will have the first question at index 1, the second question at index 2, and so on. You will start understanding it more when you see the usage of the lists practically. So let's make them. Click on the button make a list, and this is our questions list. Okay, and I'm going to turn off the display by unchecking the checkbox here so that it is not showing here. Again click on make a list, and this is our answers list. Turn it off. Again click on make a list, and this is our options A. Turn it off. Again make a list. It's actually showing me all these names because I have done it once while I was designing the game for you. So make a list. So option C. So this will contain all the choices, the multiple choices for each question. So turn it off too. We also need variables for displaying the data on the screen. So make variables for question. And we want to show it on the screen, but we want to make it large readout. And we want it to come somewhere here, okay? And the message should come here, okay? Again make a variable, option A. Bring it down somewhere here and large readout. Again, option B, right click, large readout, bring it down here. Again, option C, large readout, bring it down here. Okay, and we need a variable for the score, and we can show it somewhere here. And we also need a variable for maintaining the question number or the index, which is the number of the question that is being shown. Okay, and this is a hidden variable. We don't want to show it to the user. Now let's put together some blocks to make our script for setting up and showing the quiz to the players. So we are already in the code section of our message sprite. So what we're going to do is that we are going to first make a custom block. So if I scroll down, we have this my block section. So click on make a block, and this will be set up questions. Okay, and now the define block has been added, and all the blocks that we will add below it, when we will call setup questions, they will be executed. Okay, so first of all, we are going to delete our lists. Okay, because when the game is started by clicking the green flag button, the lists that we created, these lists will not be automatically emptied. So we have to actually manually empty them. So how can we do that? By getting this list block, delete all of, and then we can choose the list name. So answers, right click, duplicate, questions, right click, duplicate, options A, delete all your lists. Okay, that done. Now we are going to add the questions and the options and the answer. For example, in this tutorial, I will be making a capital city quiz. So I'm going to add a question, 2 questions list, and this is, what is the capital city of USA? Okay, and I'm going to add the exact answer to the answers list. So right click, duplicate, answers, Washington DC. Okay, now just duplicate, and since we have duplicated it, so we have the exact spellings as this one here. So now we can add it to any of our options list. So it can be the options A, B or C. So let's add it to options B. And now you have to make sure that you add some other cities to your option A and your option C. So for example, to option A, I'm going to add Chicago, and to option C, I'm going to add New York. Okay, so make sure that one of your options list has exactly the answer to the question, because we have to do some matching. Okay, now right click where we started adding the questions, right click, duplicate, so that the whole script is copied. And now we are going to change the question to maybe China and Beijing, and this could be Shanghai. Our option A can contain the correct answer, and this can be Wuhan. Okay, so you have to be a little careful while filling up your lists, but as you can see that we can add as many questions as we want, and you don't have to make separate costumes or backdrops. Okay, so just be careful while adding. Add a question, then add the correct answer in the answers list, and then add 3 choices in options A, B, C, and one of those choices should be the same as the one in the answers list for that position. Okay, that done. Now let's make another block, and this will be our show question block. In the definition of this show question block, we will first increase the question index, that variable that we are not actually showing to the user. We are going to add a 1 to our question index. So change question index by 1. Next, we are going to check using a control if then else block if we have any questions to show to the users. For example, if we have shown all the questions, then we will go inside the game over condition, and if there are any questions left, then we will go inside the showing the question to the user condition. So how can we check if there are any questions to be shown to the user? By using the operator less than block, and we are going to check if our question index is less than the total number of questions plus 1. Okay, so again operators and get the plus block, and here we can type in 1, and here we need to know how many questions are there inside the questions list. So that is the total number of questions, and we can get that by going to my variables and then going inside the list block, and there's this length of list block. Sorry, I had to plug it on the right side. So the length of questions plus 1. So this is the condition that there are some questions still left to be shown to the user, at least one question left to be shown to the user. So in that case, show the question, otherwise go inside the game over condition. So how do we actually show the question? That we can do by changing these variables accordingly to the data inside our lists, okay, for the position of the question index. Okay, so I can get this set my variable block and change this to question, and we get this item 1 of answers. So we don't need the item 1 of answers, we want something from the questions list, and here this is not 1, this is actually question index, so I can duplicate and plug that in. Next, we have to set our option A and then choose it accordingly. Okay, right click, duplicate, option B, make sure you are changing the list to, and option C here. Okay, so A, B, C, A, B, C. So this will load the data from our lists for that question number or position. Okay, in the else condition, because that is our game over condition, we will hide all our variables and show the game over message to the user. Okay, so go to looks, and we are going to switch the costume of our message sprite. We will also show, because we have not written any code for the green flag event yet, but in that we will be actually hiding our message sprite. So in this case, we are going to show it, and then we are going to broadcast a message of game over. So broadcast message game over, and this will be actually, we still need to make our buttons, but this will be received by our button sprites, and then they will be hiding too. Okay, so we still have to work on that, but let me complete this block first. So broadcast a message of game over, and then hide the question and these 3 variables. We will not be hiding the score. Okay, so if I go to variables, I have this hide variable block, and just choose option A, duplicate, option B, and the question. Okay, now this is done. So now what we're going to do is we are going to work on our green flag event for this message. So when the green flag is clicked, we want to first of all hide our sprite. Okay, so whenever the game is started, we don't want the message to be displayed to the user, and we are going to reset our score variable to 0 and also our question index, okay? And then because we hit these variables when the game was over, so we have to show them when the game is started. So show the variable, option A, B, C, and the question, okay? And then call our custom blocks setup questions and show question, okay? Now we will make our buttons. So click on choose a sprite and then go for this button and go to its costumes, and I'm going to use the orange version of it, and I'm going to click on this arrow so that I can select it, and I'm going to make it a bit smaller, okay? And then make sure that you centralize it and then give it the correct position, okay? And then I am going to type in A on it, bring it down and click on the fill and make it white by making the saturation 0, okay? So this is our option A, so let's rename it accordingly. So this is option A button. Okay, so now let's go to its code, and what we're going to do is that when this sprite is clicked, so get it from the events block, we need to check here if option A answer, that is whatever is inside this variable, option A variable, is equal to the answer for the corresponding question. So how can we do that? First of all, we are going to get from control and if then else block, and then from operators get the equal to block, and here go to variables and then the lists, because we want to see what is inside the list. So if the item, and then this should be question index, because that is the question that is being shown to the user. So go up and question index. So if the answer, if it is equal to the item at question index inside the options A list, remember this is the options A button. So if I right click, duplicate and change this to options A, this means that the user clicked on the right button. This answer choice, whatever is inside here, is the correct answer to this question. Then we are going to change the score by 1, and we're just going to broadcast a message from events, and the name of this message is correct, okay? And in the other case, that means the answer is wrong, just broadcast a new message called wrong. Now in the event of green flag click, we are going to show it, and when it receives, remember the game over message that we broadcasted from a message sprite, so when it is received this message by the button, then it should hide, okay? And if I just right click, duplicate, rename it to option B button, in its code change it to option B. Remember this option B is selected, and importantly change this text to B, okay? And right click, duplicate and rename it, and now it is selected, we are inside its code, so change its list to option C, go to its costume and make it C. Now go back to our message sprite, and in its code we just have to do one more thing, that when it receives the message correct, let me first fix the positions of these buttons. Okay, so coming back to our message, when it receives the correct message from any of these buttons, then it should show the correct costume to the user. Okay, so how can we do that? We go to looks and we choose switch costume to correct, and we show it, because remember it's hidden at the moment, and then we wait using a control block for 1 second, and then we hide it again, and then we show the next question. So how can we show the next question? By just calling a custom block show question. And if I right click, duplicate, choose wrong here, we choose the wrong costume, the wrong message costume, and then we show it, wait for 1 second and hide it. Okay, this basic multiple choice quiz without using any multiple costumes for each question is ready, and you can add as many questions as you want by just adding them inside your setup questions block. Okay, so just keep on adding as many questions as you want, just very carefully, and you're good to go. So customize this quiz and share your projects with me. I would love to see them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of the great projects that I've planned for you. Thank you for watching. Have a good day and goodbye.